back to Trump.
Yeah.
He's back on the ballot, right? And now with the 9-0 vote from the Supreme Justices, right? There's no other state that's even going to try it at this point.
Yeah.
That's what I love about that situation. And this is what I will say about judges, Supreme Justices specifically. You can't just be anyone and be a Supreme Justice, right? Like you be one of the Supreme Justices. You got to be one of the most just resound individuals, individuals with discernment.
Yeah.
Wisdom, experience. You got to be top, like the top of the top, the cream de la crop, right?
Yeah.
The cream de la creme. to be one of those justices. And that's why, I will say this. When that vote came through, for me, what it did for me was it almost reinstated hope for our legal system and our democracy.
Sure. Is it safe to say that society I have almost given up hope, right? To think that something like that.
I mean, you see what's going on. What were we talking about the other day, right? Pelosi and the stock trading, and then Biden. What's his name? The Biden dude. Oh my God, I can't believe
Hunter.
Yeah. Jesus, how do I brain fart? Hunter Biden and everything that he has going on. He gets away with slaps on the wrist and stuff like that, right? So you're like, okay, well, I guess at a certain level, you just can get away with just about anything, right?
I think today was a win for the superheroes, right? Like the fact that we're watching Trump get attacked over and over. And at the end of the day, people who weren't for Trump are only for him because enough is enough, right? At a certain point, someone gets so many lashes that you can only take so much. Right. So the fact that he got this win just shows that in the system, because I got involved in politics, there are people who are fighting for us, but we can't see them because no one goes and says, hey, you see that firefighter that was in the building? Damn near risking his life to save that child. We don't talk about these things. And there are people inside the systems who are the firefighters.
Before you do that, I just want to say this. For anybody out there that's listening or watching and they're like, why are they talking about politics? Well, let me explain a few reasons why, okay? One, politics and business and real estate go hand in hand in hand. That's one. Two, our children have to grow up here.
Yep.
Right. And constantly, my wife is constantly concerned about the state of this country because we have two daughters that are growing up here. Right. That's why we're talking about these issues. These are relevant, impactful issues. Your normal Joe Schmo probably thinks that he's not impacted by who gets into office. But once those laws start coming out, right, with the bathrooms and all the other stuff that it's a little too late by then.
Yeah.
It's already done, right? And we get 8 years or actually 4 years of what we've gotten,
Well, they've been methodically programmed to not think about it, right? They've been...
most people don't even vote, right?
Correct. And there was a study came out that said majority of the 2020 voters that voted for Biden now say that they would not re-vote for Biden because he is too old and lacks competency.
Well, his approval rate is the lowest of any.
They're artificial.
American,
you have some
sitting
statistics
American
on that, don't you?
Yeah,
They're
his
artificial.
approval rate is the lowest of any sitting president in the history of America.
Not surprised.
So,
I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to see Alzheimer's, to see any mental disorders. I don't think that if a kid saw their parents and saw Biden, the way he walks, the way he speaks, the way he carries himself,
it's ridiculous.
that they wouldn't say, oh, I think he's going through something, mommy, daddy. I don't think he's fit to lead the weight of a country.
My 11-year-old knows,
Yeah.
Like, last thing I'll say here, and then you got to go because you got some good stuff to add here, Adrian. I mean, they'll like the world will be on fire, and he'll be like, where's the ice cream?
Yeah.
You guys know I love ice cream. Like, dude, what?
Does it remind you of
Like
the
somebody
Ringer?
just got bombed.
It reminds you of the Ringer scene. When the fuck did we get ice cream?
It's honestly surreal at this point, right? It's surreal. Yeah. It's surreal and it's concerning. It's concerning.
it's
That's a
super
good
concerning.
word because it is. We're joking about it, but that's literally what he does.
would have never-
They're asking him about what's going on in Palestine and
Or
Israel
Ukraine.
conflict, and he's eating ice cream.
And he's like, well, you guys
Chocolate,
know I love
chocolate
ice
chip.
cream. Or he's sniffing some 13-year-old little girl. Like he's like, come on, you guys have seen.
Oh, I've seen it.
videos,
Nah, it's
right?
disgusting.
Alex Jones
He's
says
just-
that in the White House they have to change his diaper.
oh my God.
Secret Service has to change his diaper.
Wait, no.
That's not
What?
valid source.
That's not
No.
fact, right? That's not fact.
Alex Jones has stated from inside sources, so this is hearsay. I can be completely
it's
wrong,
not-
but
okay.
what they're saying
Right.
inside the White House is
Good
that
disclaimer there.
they're changing his diapers because he's walking through the White House, blindlessly running into things, tripping over, and this is a grown daycare at this point.
I've had my grandmother had Alzheimer's, and she lived probably like a half block away from my parents' house. And my grandma, she's now 95, still lives by herself.
Yeah.
And I was over there one morning, and what ended up happening is I saw my grandmother with Alzheimer's leave the assisted living facility, trying to make it to my house and walk straight past it. And when I see Sleepy Joe walk, I see the same thing. My
That's
grandma
sad.
walked right past my house, and luckily I was
That's so
there,
sad.
and I stepped outside. I said, "Grandma, where are you going?" She goes, "I'm going to your house." I was like, "It's right there." Like she had already passed
Yeah.
it. But besides that, yeah, I like as we're talking about this whole Trump thing and how they reversed it, and they said now he's allowed to be on the ballots, but somebody made the attempt to take him off the ballots, right? And Zadie said it in the last podcast. They're both wings of the same bird. What's to say that happened? It didn't snowball the way they wanted it to, where all the states got behind taking Trump off of it. So they reversed it, and now they tried to bring an uprising from that side of the party, who is a little bit less reserved. Like you would say, Republicans are a little bit more conscious and not quick to just jump. And we saw the.
Are you talking about someone replacing Trump as the leading candidate?
No, not replacing Trump as leading candidate, but what we said
To cause an
ultimately,
uproar,
to
you're
cause
saying.
an uproar on the other side, because they didn't get the uproar on our side. You know what I'm saying?
I think that that's a super valid point, because we need, for them right now, they need as much chaos as possible,
Exactly.
and they need as much distraction. If you actually look at it too, for Nikki Haley, when it comes going against Trump, people would actually rather go straight to RFK instead of Nikki Haley on the Republican vote if they're not going to vote for Trump. And Trump supporters are some of the most loyal voters out there.
I would love a woman as a vice president. I just don't know if it's Nikki Haley, because there's
For sure.
a lot of allegedly there's a lot of backdoor business deals that are happening in her camp, right? But I would love Nikki Haley. I mean, if Nikki Haley was very, very rare, do you get politicians that have their nose clean, right? Because you know how it's a favor system,
Correct.
Yeah.
I do you this favor, you do me that favor. I rub your back, you rub my back, right? But I would love to see a woman vice president.
I would love
Right?
to
Don't
see
get me
a-
wrong. I know there's one already,
Yeah. Just not one we like.
but
I would
in my
love it.
opinion, she's just not qualified, and I don't think she's really had an impact on this country.
It would be
And
nice
I
to get
expected a
It would be
woman.
nice to get an actual African American female vice president. Not a Jamaican Irish.
I wish Candace Owens was a
Indian.
politician.
That's.
Oh, if Candace
I wish
Owens,
Candace Owens was a politician.
if Candace Owens was in there, oh my goodness, she would shake it up.
Candace Owens makes common sense, common practice. She
Wow, that
breaks
was-
it down to simplicity. Now, there's one analogy that I have, and it's going to be broken down in the third grade level. The elitism was programmed into our kids in the movie Ants. I know we've all seen the movie Ants with the grasshoppers, where the ants have to collect the food, the grasshoppers come and take it. If you watch the movie, they're directing it towards kids and programming them, because Hopper, the main elite grasshopper, tells the ants have the food ready by the X date. Hopper's cousin says, "Hey, look, we're abundant. Look, we have all the money, all the tools." And then he says, "We don't need to go fight the ants." Well, guess what? Hopper then says, "Oh, we don't." He walks out to the lair with all the other grasshoppers. He says, "Hey guys, we're not going to go attack the ants. We're going to stay here." They all are happy. They're drinking away. He says, "But guess what?" He gets a little acorn, throws it at one grasshopper. That's just one ant. How did that feel? He says, "Like nothing." Gets another one, throws it again. How about that? He's like, "Oh, it's nothing." Then he breaks the cork. The food comes down, kills the 3 grasshoppers right in front of him. He walks on top and said, "Guys, if the ants find out by numbers they are more powerful than the 30 of us, we're done." So Trump, to me, is an elite grasshopper fighting for the ants.
That's a great analogy. To
Well-
jump on the Supreme Court decision. So it's key to understand. They didn't say like, oh, he's not an insurrectionist. All they said is the states don't have the power to take someone off the ballot, and then they directed the power to Congress. So 3 of the justices, the liberals and the moderates, were against that, because now what's going to happen is now they've given that power to Congress. So again, left wing, right wing. Eventually, Congress could decide we don't want them on the ballot, or Congress could decide the states now have the power. So I think in the future we're gonna have a lot more problems because of this ruling. Honestly, they didn't like close it out. They kind of left
They
the
left
back
an
door
open door.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.